Very good evening, welcome to Champions League Live. As Matchday 1 concludes tonight, 4 live games for you from 8 o'clock and the final 4 of our first 18 ties of the new Champions League format. Over the last 2 nights we've seen 12 games, 24 teams battle it out for points in the new league system. Already this evening we've already seen 2 results, with Benfica winning 2-1 against Red Star Belgrade a bit earlier this evening, and Leverkusen demolishing Feyenoord on their own patch by 4-0. Over the last few nights we've already seen some big results that we can show you now. Juventus beat Eindhoven by 3-1. Villa got their return to the Champions League off with a win, 3-0 win there against Young Boys in Switzerland. Liverpool beat AC Milan in San Siro. Bayern Munich made it 9 against Dinamo Zagreb, a record, the most goals ever scored by a single team in a single Champions League game. Real Madrid, the champions, got off to a winning start, 3-1 against Stuttgart, and Sporting 2-0 against Lille. Last night, Bologna and Shakhtar drew 0-0. Sparta Prague beat Salzburg by 3-0. Celtic got their biggest win in a Champions League game, winning 5-1 against Slovan Bratislava. Dortmund left it late, but did get the 3 points against Club Brugge. It was to be a point apiece between Manchester City and Inter in a repeat of the 2023 Champions League final, and PSG needed a late own goal from the Girona goalkeeper as Girona made their Champions League debut. PSG won by 1-0. That has been our results so far this week in the Champions League, and rare that there's 3 nights of Champions League action in a row, but you're going to be blessed tonight with more action as we watch Atalanta take on Arsenal, the side that absolutely demolished Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League final last season. Atalanta take on an Arsenal side who were knocked out at the Champions League semi-final stage by Bayern Munich. Also this evening, Barcelona head to AS Monaco. Atletico Madrid welcome RB Leipzig to the Wanda, and Stade Brest take on Sturm Graz in Brest this evening. So 4 games to keep you up to date with all throughout this evening, as well as we conclude. Plus, we will update you on what the table looks like from all throughout the evening, and what it looks like, who's at the top, who's at the bottom, and who's in between. Of course, still 7 match days to go after this one, but we can have a look and see how everybody stands after each team has played. That is to come. Let's have a look at tonight's teams then here in Bergamo, as Arsenal have a big trip at the weekend to Manchester City, and they're just off a big victory in the North London derby. It's been a busy week. Let's see how the Gunners line up. We'll start with the home side and Gianpiero Gasparini's side, who went to European glory last season. They start their Champions League campaign with Marco Cornesci in goal. A back 5 of David Zappacosta, Berat Jim City, Isaac Hien, Sead Kolasinac and Matteo Ruggieri in the back 5. Martin Zurun, the captain, in midfield alongside Edison, with Charles de Ketelara, Ademola Lookman, the hat-trick hero in the Europa League final, and Matteo Retegui leading the line. For Arsenal, 2 changes from the North London derby victory over Tottenham on Sunday. David Raya continues in goal. An unchanged back 4 as well, as Ben White, William Saliba, Gabriel and Urian Timber remain in the defence. Thomas Partey is joined alongside Declan Rice in midfield. Rice, who was suspended for the North London derby at the weekend, he's back in the side. And Kai Havertz continues in a more midfield role this afternoon, with Leandro Trossard dropping out, with Gabriel Jesus leading the line for the Gunners, Gabriel Martinelli off the left and Bukayo Saka on the right hand side. So Jesus and Rice are both in, and of course we see Trossard drop to the bench. And Jorginho, of course, Jorginho actually captained Arsenal in the North London derby, that 1-0 victory. Gabriel, the scoring hero for the Gunners. As I said, a really tough week for Arsenal. North London derby on the Sunday, Thursday night away in the Champions League, and then a Sunday following, they head to what could be a title race battle at the Etihad at the weekend on Sunday afternoon. It's been a tough week, but if you want to be the best, this is the type of schedule you have to deal with. Let's see how Arsenal perform here this evening. An Atalanta side that have kind of collapsed a lot of Europe last season, And a lot of European sides that they would probably feel are better than them. Made them look chump change, shall we say. But an Arsenal side that did well in Europe last season, broke a kind of long reign of failing in Europe, turned into somewhat of a success with their results. But a new season, new campaign, new stories, and new headlines to be written. Of course, last season didn't end the way Arsenal would have wanted it to. Of course, not winning any trophy last season, considering they were quite comfortable in the quite good in the Champions League, and of course, just a point away from winning the Premier League. The Champions League gets back, new format, new system, a new mentality needed really for this competition this season. It's very different than what has come previously. And we'll see how Arsenal and many other sides deal with that this season. Already we have seen majority of our sides, 28 of our 36 teams, already have shown off what they've got on match day 1. Of course, as I mentioned, 8 teams taking in action this evening in our 4 matches. 6 teams elsewhere, and we'll keep you updated with the scores everywhere around Europe, in Monaco, in Madrid, and of course in Brest as well. You'll not miss a thing here on Champions League Live. We are underway, by the way, 90 seconds gone in this one, in Bergamo, and it's been some meteoric rise for Atalanta in the last few years. Absolute incredible performances as of recently, but lifting that European trophy in the summer certainly adds them to that next level of European outfit, that next level of European opponent. Italian sides that Italy, that's probably been dominated with the likes of AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Napoli at times. Atalanta are one of those that are kind of seen in the distance, but they've certainly shown everybody what their quality is and exactly what they're capable of. They were the only side to beat Bayer Leverkusen last season. Of course, Leverkusen won the cup and the league, but the Europa League was all that was evading them of that illustrious treble. And they lost quite convincingly in that Europa League final, did Leverkusen. Atalanta were absolutely fabulous that night. Ademola Lookman, the hat-trick hero, to ensure that Atalanta lifted that European trophy. Arsenal have the ball at the back here with David Raya. Of course, Raya, no Ramsdale anymore in the backup role for Arsenal in the nets. Neto from Bournemouth has joined Arsenal for this season. He's on the bench this evening. Arsenal trying to falter possession. Saka does well in the press. Now Partey feeds it through for Jesus on the spin. Edge of the box, leaves it for Saka, who will hit it wide. Bukayo Saka. They wanted a corner there, Arsenal, but the referee, I think, giving a goal kick. Just see this again. It's a really nice spin by Gabriel Jesus, and then Saka takes the shot. It's just a wayward angle on the shot, but again, good press by the Gunners. It was all came from the Atalanta goalkeeper, just passing it out. It's actually being given as a corner here. The referee had to change his mind. Clément Turpin, our referee this evening, French referee. So initially thought of a goal kick, but corner's been given, left-hand side for the Gunners. Scored from a corner at the weekends. Rice over the tickets. Right-footed delivery. Oh, palmed away by the Atalanta keeper, Koneshi. Atalanta try and break away, but well won back by Saka. Havertz. And now comes Urian Timber to Declan Rice. Out to Martinelli. Arsenal wanting to start quick as Martinelli crosses too deep into the box. We have our first goal of the night. We were lacking some goals really last night in all of our games, especially the game that we watched in our feature game last night between City and Inter. Ended 0-0, but we already have a goal, and that has come in Madrid this evening. Atletico Madrid taking on RB Leipzig in the Wanda Metropolitano. this evening, and we do have a goal I can tell you about. And it's come from an Atletico attack. On the counter-attack, Leipzig take the lead. And it's on a counter-attack, a 3-on-2. The ball played across. And the strike saved. And then Benjamin Šeško, who else but Benjamin Šeško, to give RB Leipzig the lead. So it is Atletico Madrid 0, RB Leipzig 1. In that one, Benjamin Šeško was the number 11, Luis Openda, that actually had the shot well saved by the Atletico goalkeeper, Jan Oblak. Great save, and then it just popped up into the air, and Benjamin Šeško did really, really well in just adjusting in time. It was poor from Atletico initially, just giving the ball away in that area, allowing Leipzig to counter. So that's the first goal of the night. As Hien covering over Jesus. The free kick goes the way of the home side. Arsenal not having to change their shirt colour this evening. Of course, controversially, wore their away kit at the weekend in the North London derby. Some may be wondering why they did that. I was one of those wondering why they did that, but they have opted for a bit of sense tonight. Playing against a team in blue and black, and they played in their red and white home strip tonight, Arsenal, so certainly no worries about them changing their kit this evening. And so far they've dominated the early possession, the Gunners, but Atalanta have one or two back-to-back throw-ins here on this left-hand side. Ruggieri back to Kolasinac. Kolasinac actually used to play for Arsenal. Side Kolasinac, back in the day, 31 years old now. He's actually joined Arsenal on a free from Schalke back in 2017. Spent 4 years in North London. Did side Kolasinac before, of course, heading to Marseille in 2022. And then, of course, joined Atalanta on a free in July 2023. So last summer, joined the club. White tries to play it down the right-hand side for Saka, who's battling well with Kolasinac. And that's well put out there by Ruggieri. Out for the throw-in to Arsenal. Oh, he's just kept that one in at the byline there. That's really good defending by Ruggieri. And the free kick throw-in's actually gone the way of Atalanta. Touched it off Saka in the end there. Well, of course, tonight's a big night. You know, we talk about big away games in Europe, and we talk about kind of the opponents that the big Premier League sides are going to come up against. You know, we've already seen probably some tough opponents for Premier League teams this week, albeit Aston Villa probably had the easiest, no offence to young boys, but the easiest of the opponents of any of the Premier League sides. Liverpool had to go to San Siro, Man City having to play Inter, the Italian champions, and then Arsenal coming away to a very kind of harsh atmosphere here this evening in Bergamo. It's a tough stadium at the best of times to really compete in against this Atalanta side, who are very competitive themselves and very kind of rugged. And I think we've seen that from Arsenal the weekend. But as I was saying, it's probably a measure for the Premier League sides. Where are they going to fit this season in the Champions League? Are we going to see that domination of Premier League sides that we've probably seen over the last number of years in the Premier League or in the Champions League, getting to the latter stages, battling to try and win the trophy, and see what they can offer? And I think Atalanta's a good test for that for Arsenal, considering where they've been over the last few years. So it's a good night, a big night for both teams. In that sense, Atalanta can measure themselves against Arsenal, who got to last season's semis. Arsenal can measure themselves against Atalanta, who won a European trophy last season. So it's a good measurement for both teams. See how they progress tonight, and where each other's at in terms of a European level, and see where they can go. Because, you know, obviously with this competition being adapted, Arsenal won't play Atalanta at home again. Obviously, that new format. Still getting used to it. Play each side once in the Champions League in this new league phase. But it's interesting to see. It will be interesting to see tonight how Arsenal cope with that, but also how Atalanta deal with the threats that Arsenal have, because there's most certainly a lot of them in terms of threats for Arsenal. As Lookman finding Zappacosta. It's a good spell of possession this from Atalanta in the last few minutes while I've been talking. As Jim City looks to cross it in, and just ahead of Ademola Lookman, who was lurking in that box again. As Saka just sees that one out for a throw. But we just saw that there. Zappacosta allowed the width, played it across the Barrett Jim City, and then whips it into the box, and Lookman was lurking. Here come Arsenal on the break though. Here's Havertz. Has to go back into midfield. Now finds Partey. Out wide to Ben White. Nice Saka. White again. To Partey. Through the lines to find Saka. Linking up well with Rice. And I think there was a bit of pulling and shoving going on in there. So I think Arsenal might get a free kick. They will. And a yellow card is going to come out as well for Edison. Yeah, just a little tug on Bukayo Saka from Edison. So a free kick to the Gunners. And a yellow card goes the way of the Atalanta midfielder. I don't think you can really argue with the referee's decision there. We have a lot of action going on in Monaco this evening that I can tell you about. We'll get there in a moment. Because Arsenal have this free kick in a dangerous area. But Monaco have a free kick in a dangerous area. And I can tell you, there's been a red card in that game as well. We'll get there in a moment. As we wait for the referee to set up this free kick for Arsenal. Clement Turpin. Making sure that the Atalanta wall is 10 yards away from the free kick. 12 minutes gone in Bergamo. 0-0. Arsenal dominating the early possession, but not really seen much in the final third from Arsenal just yet, or either side just yet. That's to be truthful. Let's see what they can deliver here from this set piece. Saka and Rice over this free kick for Arsenal. Referee still sorting out one or two issues with the defending in the defensive line, but also the Arsenal wall in front of the Atalanta wall, as we usually see now. Let's see what Arsenal can do here though. Saka and Rice over it. We're about 23 yards out. Bukayo Saka goes low, and they palmed behind by the goalkeeper. It was low and hard from Bukayo Saka with his left boot. Curling to that bottom left corner. Great right hand from the Atalanta goalkeeper, Carnesci. Fabulous save, and then Partey tries to get the second on the rebound, but smuggled by the Atalanta goalkeeper, who had to see it out. But I think the last touch came off Thomas Partey and gives Atalanta the goal kick. Decent moment for Arsenal. Right, let's get to Monaco, where I can update you that Barcelona have been sent down to 10 for a professional last man foul. Eric Garcia has been shown red, and that Monaco free kick has come to nothing. So it remains 0-0, but Barcelona down to 10. Injuries have ravaged that Barcelona side, who've started well in La Liga this season, top of the table. But injuries certainly a big concern for them, with the likes of Araujo, Christensen, Gavi, Frankie de Jong, Olmo, all amongst them out for Barca at the moment. And now Eric Garcia has gone and got himself a red card inside the first 10 minutes. 0-0 in Monaco. Here is Durun for Atalanta. Nice play by De Ketelaere through the lines, out wide to Zappacosta. Back to Jim City. Now Durun. Back to Jim City again. Not afraid to control the ball, dominate the possession, Atalanta. Not afraid to entice Arsenal onto them. As Lookman comes a bit deeper. Linking up with Durun again. Out wide to Zappacosta. Back to Jim City. Finding Retegi. Back to Lookman, who lifts it into the box. And Jim City continued his run. And Rice had to head up behind for a corner. Really good kind of fluidity from that front three of Atalanta. De Ketelaere, Lookman and Retegi. They're not afraid to kind of drop off and drop into those deeper areas to kind of recycle the possession. And Retegi does it really well, linking up with Lookman, and the cross ends up behind for the corner, which Lookman will take. Right-footed, all the way through. Back to Edison. Flicks it round the corner. Ruggieri to lift it in, and the header from Hien is wide. Good opportunity that from Atalanta. They're probably their best spell of the game so far. It's been all Arsenal really in the early moments with the possession, but the last few minutes they've had a good spell of possession, and certainly testing Arsenal with those crosses so far. Nothing showing as of yet. Still 0-0. As Hien's header did go wide, so a goal kick comes Arsenal's way. There's a stoppage at the moment. I think VAR were checking something there, but the referee waves play back on again. Whatever VAR were having a look at, but they've cleared it up, so we play on. Maybe a penalty check? I don't know. Never mind, doesn't matter. We move on, as we do have a goal in Monaco. I can tell you about that in a second, as Havertz keeps it alive here for Arsenal. On the left-hand side is Timber. Timber back to Havertz. Havertz playing in a different role. Slightly different role than what he played at the weekend and has been playing recently for Arsenal. And more of a 10 role, a false 9 role in a sense, in between the two roles really for Kai Havertz. We'll see what type of role he plays tonight with an out-and-out number 9 in Gabriel Jesus in the Arsenal team. As I was saying, there is a goal in Monaco. Remember, Barcelona down to 10, and they have also conceded in the last few minutes. It's Monaco 1, Barcelona 0. I can get there in a moment as Martinelli fires over the bar for Arsenal. It's happening everywhere. Eric Garcia, as I said, got a red card, and Magnus Aklush has given Monaco the lead. Left-footed strike from around about the edge of the box. Really nice finish. And Monaco take the lead. As Hansi Flick, the Barcelona head coach, clearly and expectedly frustrated by that one. So it is 1-0 to the home side there. And it will be a tough night indeed for Barcelona. Down to 10 so early in the game, a night trailing in Monaco. Here is Raya for Arsenal. Back in his own box, has to go long. Out to the right-hand side, Havertz was the target. As Kolasinac ends up on the floor, so a free kick will go the way of Atalanta here. I don't think there's very much in that, but the referee has seen stray left hand from Havertz. I mean, no intent in it whatsoever, really. Very little contact, but referee deems it a foul. Jim City back to Hien. As Edison tracks back to Carnacci. Tries to go long out to the left flank, Carnacci, but straight out of play. And Arsenal will have the throw in around the halfway line. I mentioned what Arsenal did at the weekends. Atalanta have had a topsy-turvy start to their season in Serie A. Currently sitting 9th in the table. 2 wins, 2 defeats to start the campaign. Wins away at Lecce, and then a 3-2 win over Fiorentina here at the weekend. But defeats away at Inter and away at Torino to start the season. Certainly had an up and down first 4 games for Gasparini's side. Timber to take this throw in for Arsenal down the left-hand side. Back it goes to Gabriel. Now across to Saliba. David Raya. It's good defending again out there by Zappacosta. Sees it out for another Arsenal throw. Seen a lot more of Atalanta defensively than further forward so far. Looking solid at the moment. Here's Jesus. Off the left-hand side here, Gabriel Jesus. Infield a party back to Gabriel as Atalanta look to press quickly. Right, Saliba to White. Plays it to Havertz. Here comes back infield, finds Partey. Just escaped the foot of Timber, but Jesus tried to flick it round the corner. Jesus just keeps the ball, spins into the middle, gets taken out, but the referee says a fair challenge as Edison comes away with the ball. Now Lookman to Ketelara to Durun. Look at the many bodies back quickly from Arsenal, completely nullifying that possible counter-attack from Atalanta there. Stifling the home side all of a sudden. This is the first fixture between these teams ever, between Atalanta and Arsenal. Atalanta have an interesting record against English clubs overall, but also at home as well. Over the times they've played English clubs, they've played English teams 10 times over the years. Atalanta in the Champions League, 4 wins, 2 draws and 4 defeats. But at home, they've only won once in 5 meetings against English clubs, drawing 2 and losing 2. And of course, they last took on English opponents in last season's Europa League quarter-finals in a stunning 3-0 first leg win at Anfield, paving the way for an aggregate success against Liverpool despite a 1-0 home loss in the return leg. Knocking out Liverpool was a big achievement for Atalanta last season. As I said, they really showed their quality and kind of power in games last season in the Europa League, and I think they were really, really impressive and probably were deserved winners of the competition last season, of course. But as I said, they've only won 1 of their 5 home matches against Premier League opponents. The first, a 3-0 defeat of Everton in the 17-18 Europa League group stages, of course. But Atalanta won the reverse fixture 5-1 in that game in 2017-18. Long time since we've heard the name of Everton in European football. We'll not get into that conversation tonight. Here's Rice. Gabriel. Going to spin it over the top. Jesus trying to link up. Plays it to Martinelli, who's tracked all the way by Hien, who intercepts but couldn't get far past Gabriel. As Arsenal have the ball back again. Partey. Arsenal possession gets cut out there by the backtracking Kolasinac. Have to be honest, there's a few technical issues here with the feed. Whoever's messing about with the feed, I do not know, but it's certainly a bit grainy at times. They're not particularly keeping us in action. There was a few issues with audio and things a few moments ago, so whatever's happened there, we don't know, but the free kick goes Atalanta's way all of a sudden. As Retegi, was the one winning that free kick. So just around 25 minutes gone in Bergamo. Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. Elsewhere, we do have a goal to tell you about, I believe. We do. In Brest, in one of our other games this evening. And I can tell you that the home side have taken the lead. Stade Brest have taken the lead against Sturm Graz. Hugo Magnetti with the goal has given the home side the lead there. So the French side leading in Brest this evening. Two sides, two pot four teams battling out this evening in that one. Edison. This is good play from Atalanta. Looking up with Retegi, back to Durun, out to the Ruggieri on the left-hand side. Cross again, headed away by Arsenal. They look really comfortable in that position, Arsenal. Albeit Atalanta testing their set-piece opportunities, but so far the crosses are looking comfortably dealt with by Arsenal. Zappacosta looks for another cross. That one far too high for anybody to reach, although it will find its way to Ruggieri, who finds it to Lookman. Lookman again going for the cross, but again dealt with by Arsenal at the back, although not able to get out at the minute, the Gunners. It's consistent possession from the home side. We have a goal in Madrid to tell you about as well. While Atalanta hold this ball for the moment, I can tell you that RB Leipzig did take the lead, and I've just been told they have kept the lead because Atletico Madrid thought they'd had an equaliser, but that has been disallowed, so no goal there. I did see it pop up and flash up in the corner of my eye, but ultimately that has been ruled out, so it is still 1-0 to RB Leipzig. Rice to Partey, back to Rice, now White, looking for the cross, headed away by Kolasinac, back to Rice, and now back to Saliba, and Rice again. Keeping the ball moving, Arsenal, for the moment. Trying to play it into Jesus, but flag went up against Gabriel Jesus anyway. Excuse me. I'm going to try and fix this feed because this is not possible to continue with. Apologies about that. The feed is... there's not really much I can do about it. I'll try and keep you as updated as possible. We have goals to tell you about elsewhere, which will keep us going. Here's to Catalara, though. Now back to Darun. The feed is really bad. Darun. Right, wide it goes to Zappacosta. To Catalara. It's again sent back by Arsenal. Darun. Goals, as I can tell you then. There has been two equalisers elsewhere. I can first go to Monaco, where there's been an equaliser. Barcelona have got themselves back on terms, and that 17-year-old superstar Lamine Yamal has got Barca back on terms in that one after a Cluj gave Monaco the lead. Barca still down to 10, but back in that game. At the moment, here's De Catalara, who has a shot bent wide. It was good play in between the lines, but the finish let them down. Nice combination play. Retegi linking up really well with De Catalara, and they had the strike just wide with the height on it. Couldn't keep the control on the ball, but that was applauded by Gasparini. side's attempts. Let's tell you where there's been another equaliser. And I said to you a minute ago that Atletico Madrid had equalised in Madrid, and that was disallowed. Well, I can tell you that they have equalised. It is 1-1. Antoine Griezmann, just a minute or two after I told you they didn't equalise, they have now put the ball into the back of the net. Antoine Griezmann, the goal scorer there. So Atletico Madrid 1, RB Leipzig 1. Have to be honest, there's got to be some sort of technical issue with the feed itself. It is not on my end, I guarantee you. But, you know, if it was on my end, everything would be affected. And I'm not going to tell you what that means, because you can probably guess. The stream and everything would be buggered up. But it's not. So I have no idea what's happening. But, you know, we soldier on. It's not the end of the world. As Hien goes back to Carnaci. Has to go long this time. Again, well headed by Saliba, who did well in his one-on-one battle. But again, Arsenal not picking up the second ball. Ruggieri down the left-hand side. Finds De Ketelaere. Trying to give the 1-2, but Ben White got back and defended that one well, although his pass to Saka was wayward. De Ketelaere intercepts. Now finds Ruggieri. Now Lookman. Back to De Ketelaere. Now wide to Ruggieri again. Ruggieri with a cross, and Saliba to clear it away. But it's really good pressure again from Atalanta as they pick the ball up again. Edison. To Duron. Now Jim City. Out wide to Zappacosta. Back to Jim City. Duron. Hien. Oh, given away at the back there by Hien. And the 1-2 by Havertz and Jesus. And Jesus had absolutely no idea that Havertz was giving them the ball. And he felt he was fouled, but the referee said no. Atalanta reclaim the ball. Ruggieri. Down the left-hand side it comes. Back though with Edison. Now Hien. To Duron. De Ketelaere flicks it out wide for Zappacosta, who cried across it, but well charged down out there by Timber. Well, picked it back up again by Berat Jimshiti. Lookman. Ruggieri. Kolasinac to Hien and Duron. Really good play by Atalanta at the minute. Zappacosta giving the width. Plays it into De Ketelaere on the spin. Tried to return it to Zappacosta, who couldn't quite keep it in play. Through into Arsenal incoming. It's really good possession by Atalanta. Timber to take this through in then for Arsenal. Down the left hand side. And Hien tried to battle, but ultimately the last touch comes off an Arsenal player. Through into Atalanta. Again, Arsenal really struggling to keep the ball at the minute. And that has to be kind of a worry so far for Mikel Arteta. The fact the home side have probably been the better side the last few minutes. That early control and calmness from Arsenal on the ball. Atalanta have just got into their rhythm a bit. The momentum's kind of swung in their favour in these last few minutes. Of course, the only game in of our late games that is goalless at the moment, this one. As I said, Monaco and Barcelona 1-1. Barcelona down to 10. Atletico 1, RB Leipzig 1, and Stade Brest leading Sturm Graz by a goal to nil. Around about 10 minutes to go of the first half. Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. It's certainly been the home side that have been the better of the two teams in the last few minutes. Albeit no real clear-cut opportunities in the game. I mean, Charles de Ketelaere's chance was a good one. for Atalanta, to be honest. Tapacosta's throw in, played down the line ultimately, but intercepted back there by Arsenal as Partey gives it back to White. Now back to Saliba. With another goal to tell you about in Monaco. Barca got back into the game through Lamine Yamal. And I've just been informed again, Monaco had thought they had taken the lead again. That goal has been ruled out. It is still Monaco 1 at Barcelona 1 in Monaco this evening. Monaco thought they'd retaken the lead, but not to be. Here's Partey trying to feed it through down the line for Jesus, but that one rolls out of play for a goal kick. Of course, Arsenal have had their troubled times over the years. Of course, ended that really that long run without Champions League football last season. 6 seasons without Champions League football. Ended last campaign when they qualified the season previous, obviously, in that front, of course. And last season got all the way to the quarter-finals. For the first time since the 2009-10 season. They hadn't progressed beyond the round of 16 since 2010, so it was a historic moment last season to progress as far as that in the Champions League for the Gunners, considering it has been such a sparse and kind of rare nature in modern times for them, of course. But of course, the expectation this season, and you wonder what the expectation is for Arsenal this season, because would it be to do whatever you can to go on and win the Premier League title? Is it now or never for them this season? Or could it be that maybe that balance between the Premier League and the Champions League, do they have the squad depth for that, considering they also have cup football as well, the League Cup and the FA Cup? So there are a lot of competitions that Arsenal probably feel they should be competing in, should be getting the latter stages of, but is their squad depth enough? You know, no Martin Odegaard for tonight's game, and probably at least until October at the very earliest for Arsenal without Martin Odegaard. So the question will stand, you know, is their squad depth enough to carry them through all these competitions and interchanging teams and rotation? Do they keep their quality in their team, rotating the side every 3 days? Last season we saw it was maybe just a step too far for them. You know, knocked out of the cups early, then knocked out of the Champions League in the latter around the quarter-final season, and then failing to go on and win the title. It seemed like the kind of wheels came off in each competition, probably prematurely in all of those fronts, albeit they took Man City right to the very death, to the final day. But, you know, not getting over the line on any of those fronts would be frustrating again for Arsenal, who have been progressing. But you talk about progression, you know, the argument's probably been made in the last few weeks, and I don't want to bring it back to sacking managers and all that, but the argument's been made about Erik ten Hag, about whether he is progressing with Man United. I know 8th in the league is not good enough, but he's won 2 trophies. Arsenal haven't won a trophy in a number of years. Was the FA Cup that they won a number of years ago, around 4 years ago I believe it was. They won the Community Shield as well at the end of that season, or at the start of the following season. So they've won one or two things with Arteta, but you know, a cup victory, you know, the likes of Liverpool picking up cups in the last few years, considering they haven't been able to fight for the title in that sense over the last 2 years. They in that transition period. So a trophy just kind of energizes the fan base, kind of stops the players from being kind of, shall we say, run down. You know, it can be mentally tough, kind of going for a Premier League title, and for the 3rd successive season, having lost it in the last 2 seasons, it seems like this season is the now or never season, really. If they're going to do it in the next in the near future, it is going to be this season, or it's not going to be for at least another while, because that type of pressure can get to you as well, being a player. But it's all about that squad depth. Do Arsenal have the ability to swap players in and out and keep the quality and keep the football that Mikel Arteta wants? And I think we'll see as the season goes on, with the expanded Champions League now with 2 extra games, and then possibly if you don't make the top 8, you could play an extra 2 games for a playoff for the round of 16. So you could have an extra total 4 games in total that you have to play in the Champions League this season, plus the Cups, plus the Premier League week in, week out. It really takes a toll on a squad. And of course we'll see it from all of the Premier League sides, of course, how each Premier League team deals with that between now and the end of January, when the Champions League phase comes to a close. But it'll be interesting to see how they kind of deal with that situation, and whether it does affect them quite considerably. Of course, albeit so far Arsenal have that injury of Martin Odegaard through an injury picked up on in the international break, but nothing to do with Arsenal. But it is still something to keep an eye on. So around 4 minutes to go. I'm talking about Arsenal and their troubles in their recent chat, because there's not really much going on in the game at this minute in time. It's been quite lackluster in terms of the final third play in the last few minutes. It's been more kind of in the middle third of the field that the play has been majorly in the last few minutes, albeit Atalanta have probably certainly resurfaced into this game. They've grown into it as it's gone on, and become much more comfortable with the ball and keeping Arsenal on tender hooks, shall we say. Certainly not comfortable at this moment, as Ruggieri looks for the cross to Catalara, trying to rattle in the box, but Arsenal again clear it away through Partey. Havertz trying to make a nuisance of himself. He does so really well. And now Saka feeds it through for Jesus, who tried to come back with it, but instantly run into trouble. And ultimately, there's a man on the floor inside Kolasinac that Jesus collided with. But again, really, that's not what Arsenal need in that moment. Their leading man, their star striker, their number 9, turning back on himself and not charging towards the goal, spinning back on himself. It seems a bit kind of counterproductive from the Arsenal number 9. Of course, the captain tonight has the armband, Gabriel Jesus, which I was quite interested to kind of figure out whenever the team news did come out, because it's not been a question that has been asked of Arsenal in recent times with the such reliability of Martin Odegaard. But Jorginho, the captain at the weekend, Gabriel Jesus now midweek. We'll see who will be the captain at the weekend, whether Jorginho gets that back, if he comes back into the side, or what way they will kind of juggle that as well. Because that's another thing about injuries and having such a big player injured for Arsenal in their captain, is that, and I mentioned this in the North London Derby, so I just don't want to kind of rake over old ground, but the point still stands. That leader in the team is something that you need, a consistent voice, that constant kind of motivator in the side to keep you going, to keep you kind of ticking over. And I think if we don't have that, we've seen in previous years under a different regime of Arsenal, a number of years ago, when they didn't have that consistent, that lack of leadership in the team, the kind of really soft Arsenal side kind of fell away. I think Arsenal have completely changed since then. I don't think missing a couple of games for their captain will completely derail them. But again, it's something they're going to have to contend with and battle with over the next few games, especially considering how tough these next couple of games are. Albeit, that's a nice bit of play from Jesus. Havertz facing away from the goal. Back to Partey. Now Gabriel out wide to Martinelli. Tries to take on Zappacosta. Martinelli decides against that now. Gabriel now back to Partey. Against Gabriel, and just a bit wayward that from Thomas Partey, but Mikel Arteta applauding his side's efforts. Albeit not pretty much successful on that occasion. This first half, albeit not much kind of final third action, But it has certainly been, it's flew by this first 45 minutes. We've less than a minute to go of the first half. See how long will be added on. I wouldn't suggest very much time will be added on at the end of the first half here, to be honest. I'm sure there hasn't really been many stoppages here in Bergamo. I don't really think either side have massively threatened the opposing goalkeeper in this first half, as we have just the one added minutes. Of course, we'll analyse the first half at half-time. We'll also bring you up to date with all the scores from around the rest of the grounds and what's currently happening elsewhere. And we'll talk through all of that at half-time, so do stay with us. Edison, back to Daron. Right, Jim City. Tried to go down the line, but just seen too much of that and went out of play across the sideline for a throw into Arsenal. We have a goal in Brest. And it is the visitors that have equalised. It is Sturm Graz who are back level. So all three of our other games are all at 1-1. We'll update you on all of those at half-time. So don't worry about that. We'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening elsewhere. On the way. Here's William Saliba. Trying to play it out to Rice. And as that finds its man, that is the half-time whistle from the referee. A first half where neither side have massively been threatening, but certainly it is a good display from Atalanta after Arsenal started the better of the two teams. Fairly even at the moment in Bergamo, and that's where we stand at the break. Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. Analysis on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Champions League Live with me, Kevin Ferris. Half-time in Bergamo. It is Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0 at the break. First half certainly lacking the goals again. I'm considering a theme here. I'm seeing a theme from last night and tonight, but we'll get to that first half right now. Actually, we're going to update on what's happened in that first half and kind of run you through kind of what I saw in that first half, because to be honest, it wasn't that neither side were up to it or up for it or kind of at the level. I just think both sides have cancelled each other out, and pretty well in that first half, to be honest. I think neither side really would have kind of got to the attacking level that they probably would have wanted in that first half. I think both defences look really comfortable. I think that back three, that kind of adaptable from Atalanta's point of view, albeit that back three sitting very wide. You know, Kolasinac and Jim City, the two wide centre-backs, drifting right to the sideline, so creating that width, and at times Hien on his own in the middle, but Daron and Edison, the two midfielders from Atalanta, dropping either side of him, so they're keeping that width, but also allowing the kind of defensive solidity against a possible Arsenal break. I don't think we've really seen much in terms of the attacking displays from either side. The likes of Lookman hasn't really been up to that level just yet. I think De Ketelaere has probably been Atalanta's most threatening player. He probably had their best chance of the half. That shot from the edge of from around about just the edge of the box, or just inside the box, shall I say, just high and wide. But the combination play, I think, at times in that first half was really nice between Lookman, De Ketelaere and Retegui, albeit not much attacking output. And then contrastingly with Arsenal, I think their defence has been strong. I mean, that defence, we know what it's capable of. We know how good it is. We know how strong Arsenal's defending is and has become over the last year and a half or so. But as a collective, they've got back deep into a shape when Atalanta have gone on the ball, and they've stayed compact, they've stayed controlled, they've not given away much space or much kind of attempts, and I think they've not been dragged into that physical tussle that I think Atalanta kind of want in this first half, so that was good from Arsenal. In terms of their attacking display, I think they were a bit flat. I think they were a bit off it. I don't think we've really seen any real quality from Arsenal so far in that final third. Probably Saka, I would say, has given us one or two half glimpses at a goal. I think the shot from distance, the free kick, probably the best chance for Arsenal in that half. I would say low, hard, trying to find the bottom left corner from Saka. Really good stop by Kornieshi, and then the follow-up from Partey. But that was probably Arsenal's best threat of the half. I think in open play, both sides have probably struggled at times to kind of find a way through each other's defences, and I think it's that defensive solidity that's really helped both sides in that first half. But I think if they're going to want to win this, they are going to have to turn up the tempo, bring the game a bit more open, and trying to open the opposition defence. I think when Arsenal come forward, Atalanta get back into shape and really make it a wall of five in their way. And Arsenal then, when they're defending, they get everybody back into shape, sit compact, sit controlled, allow the ball to go wide, but Atalanta not really much options when they get the ball wide in that sense, because they want to come infield, want to come central, and I think Arsenal have covered that off pretty well in that first half. But I think overall, both sides will be unhappy with how their attack's gone, but I think so far Arsenal probably would say, look, we've kind of suffered a bit in that first half in a sense, which you have to do in Europe at times. In tough away games in Europe, you have to suffer. You have to do the defensive and the kind of more gritty, hard-working side of the game, where you have to work off the ball and stay in shape and stay concentrated, and I think stay controlled and allow the opposition sometimes just to kind of see a little spell, and I think get through those little spells kind of breeds confidence within the side, and kind of it motivates you to kind of go further forward and have your own little spells in the game. And I think Arsenal and Atalanta have shared that first half really, really well. But as I said, both will want to up the level, both will want to be better, both will want to kind of improve in that second half, and I think both are capable of it, to be honest. But one thing I do say, and one thing I did point out about Arsenal getting back into shape, in transition, they were really, really compact, Arsenal. And I think there was one point in that first half that I'm just saying back again, where Atalanta tried to break, and Arsenal just got really back really quickly into shape, into system, and not allowing the counter-attack to emerge. And I think that's another key quality, because Atalanta are deadly in transition, deadly on the counter-attack with the quality they have and the pace that they have in the side, with the likes of De Ketelaere and Ademola Lookman and Retegui, the like. So there are kind of threats there from Atalanta's point of view that Arsenal have clearly proactively covered off, and I think that's impressive so far. But ultimately, I would say neither side would be unhappy with that first half. I would say that, both would say, look, we can improve and we can be much better. But on the flip side of that, I would say both sides will know that who they're playing tonight is not an easy task. Arsenal away from home in Europe against a really good side that won a European trophy last season, and then Atalanta would say we're playing a very good Premier League side, a top side, lots of quality, really good defensively. I think both will say take the positives out of that first half, but know that there is more needed if they want to go on. and win this one in the second half, and I think that's where both teams stand at the minute. So ultimately, more to come, hopefully, in the second half between these two. Let's just show you how the first half has gone elsewhere, because this is the only game this evening that has finished in the first half 0-0. All three other games at least have goals in them. Every other team has scored in the competition tonight. We'll come to those 8 o'clockers in a moment, but let's talk about those early games, because we didn't quite get to them before kickoff earlier this evening. Benfica got a victory on their first attempt this evening away in Red Star in Belgrade, facing Red Star Belgrade this evening in that one. Karam Atakoglu opened the scoring for Benfica before Orkun Koku doubled Benfica's lead. Milson then got one back for Red Star, but it wasn't to be enough. Only a consolation for the hosts in Belgrade earlier this evening, and that game finished at 1-2 to the visitors. Feyenoord were quite comfortably beaten at home earlier this evening, albeit Leverkusen very, very clinical. Not dominating the game and certainly not overrunning Feyenoord in terms of the open play, but when they got into the final third, Bayer Leverkusen were immaculate in that first half. All 4 goals coming in the first half. Florian Wirtz inside 5 minutes had Leverkusen in front. On 30 minutes, Alejandro Grimaldo doubled Leverkusen's lead before Florian Wirtz got his second of the game and made it 3 for Leverkusen on 36 minutes before, in the 44th minute, Timon Vellenruther, the Feyenoord defender, put into his own net. Vellenruther, the Feyenoord goalkeeper, put into his own net. Feyenoord were more competitive in the second half. They had 1 or 2 goals ruled out in that second half, but it wasn't to be anything for them on the night. A convincing 4-0 defeat and a ruthless Bayer Leverkusen are what you call unstoppable at times. That was earlier this evening. At half-time in Monaco, Monaco won, Barcelona won, but that only tells half of the story, because Barcelona went down to 10 inside 10 minutes. Eric Garcia's last man foul saw him see red before a few minutes after that red card. Magnus Akliush gave Monaco the lead, and then around 15 minutes later, the 17-year-old superstar Lamine Yamal levelled for Barcelona. Monaco thought they'd retaken the lead, but that was disallowed. So, at the moment, it is 1-1 in Monaco, but it is the home side that have a man advantage on the field, 11 v 10 there. Very intriguing to see how that one goes. To Madrid, where the home side have come from behind. Benjamin Šeško gave RB Leipzig the lead this evening after Openda's shot was saved by Jan Oblak. Bounced kindly, shall we say, unfortunately for Benjamin Šeško, and he did really well to just guide the ball with his head into the net to give Leipzig the lead. Atletico Madrid were level then around about 20 minutes later. Antoine Griezmann, halfway through the half, got Atletico back on terms, and that is where we stand, 1-1 in Madrid. And it is exactly the same elsewhere in Brest. Stade Brest take on Sturm Graz this evening. Hugo Magnetti gave the home side the lead after just 23 minutes just before half-time. I mentioned it just before we went to the half-time whistle in our game in Bergamo, and it was an own goal equaliser for Sturm Graz. Edemilson Fernandez has scored an own goal that has got Sturm Graz back on terms. The midfielder of Stade Brest scored an own goal, so it is Brest 1, Sturm Graz 1 at the minute. So all of our games are level this evening at half-time. After last night, we saw 2 0-0 draws. The only 2 draws of the campaign so far, but they were on course for some big results and some big shocks tonight, shall we say, with Monaco-Barcelona, the big one at the minute, albeit a Barcelona side riddled with injury and also down to 10 after that first half, so that could be a very fortunate night coming for Monaco if they can do the job this evening. We're not going to tell you, going to show you the table just yet, because there's really no point. And we have a second half to get to. The second half between Atalanta and Arsenal is on the way in a minute. That half time flew by. Second half on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back, Champions League Live. The second half in Bergamo on the way in just a moment. But don't forget, we have a bumper weekend of Premier League football for you. 4 live games over this weekend. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And it all starts on Saturday afternoon at lunchtime as West Ham take on Chelsea in a London derby. Julian Lopetegui's lost both of his home games in charge of West Ham, and that they host Chelsea. Enzo Maresca's Chelsea, Saturday lunchtime on LFS. Looking forward to that one. So that's what's to come at the weekend in the Premier League, amongst 3 other games that we will tell you about a bit later on this evening. But let's get back here into Bergamo. The players ready to come out for the second half. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already, as both sides failing to really threaten each other in the final third in that first half. Massively anyway. 0-0 at the break. Means surely more action and more drama for us in the second half here in Bergamo. Just awaiting the whistle from referee Clément Turpin. And there we are. We're back underway for this second half, and we'll see that hopefully both sides start to find their shooting boots and a bit of accuracy in the final third, because that's what we've been lacking this evening between these two. Really good approach play at times, really good build-up play, really good in-possession football from both teams, but it's just really failing to find that last pass, that last touch, that kind of clinical finishing in the final third has really let both sides down. And I think we can expect, I think we will see it in the second half. But you know, I did say that last night between Man City and Inter Milan, and it finished 0-0. So you never know. At the moment, both defences cancelling each other out in terms of the attacks, as Kolasinac's got a bit muddled up there where he was going and run out of play. Arsenal get the throw down the right hand side. Wouldn't recommend that if I were a defender. White to take the throw in. Partey across to Saka, who's come very far infield. Has to go back across to Gabriel. Out to the left hand side. Here's Rice. Linking up with Havertz. Back to Partey. Atalanta did well there from that position where they had to defend that high throw in on the right hand side. They've pushed Arsenal into playing around midfield at the moment. Here is Gabriel Jesus, come deep there. Back again it comes with Gabriel, and now out wide on the left with Martinelli. Again, still really not getting through the lines quickly there on that occasion, as Havertz gets a bit over marauding in the midfield there and lost the ball. Free kick goes the way of Atalanta, who had the ball nicked from him, did Havertz, and then committed the foul on Martin, was that Edison it was? kind of a sandwich challenge between Havertz and Partey there. Both getting a nip in on the Atalanta midfielder. Free kick taken. Here is Edison down the left-hand side. Looks to leave his man for dead and went down. Penalty. The referees pointed to the spots and Atalanta have a penalty. And I can't really complain. They really can't complain, the Arsenal defenders. Really good from Edison. Partey just kind of pulls him down. Well, Fudge started outside the box, grappled at him, then kind of pulls his right arm. Is that enough? Yeah. I can see Partey just trying to hold on and get something on Edison, but I don't think there's massive amounts of contact there in terms of he should be going to ground. But the referee has pointed to the spot, but VAR are going to have a look at this for the moment, so the penalty check is underway. So VAR checking this penalty. Edison went to ground under a challenge from Thomas Partey. The referee in no doubt that it was a penalty. I think a few questions being asked by the Arsenal team and Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, but did Clement Turpin and the referee get it right? For me it looks a bit soft, but on the initial look, to me, I would say no penalty, but if the referee hasn't committed a clear and obvious error, then is there kind of calls for to overturn this penalty call? We'll see what VAR have to say, because they're taking their time, so they must be kind of figuring something out. To me, Partey gets beaten past by Edison, does really well on the kind of skips past him, but maybe he does kind of grab him. To me, that does look soft. And we're looking to see whether the enough contact, because there was contact outside the box. I said it was grappling at him, but as they come into the box, it seemed like the contact got less and less. And I think the argument here is, has the contact and the fouling continued inside the box? And we have been told that the check is complete. Penalty stands. So I think that was kind of what the VAR were deliberating upon in that room somewhere elsewhere around Europe, where they were kind of deliberating whether the contact had continued inside the box. And I think they've concluded that it had. And now Arsenal have a penalty to try and defend. David Raya up against Retegui, who kisses the ball as he sets it down on the penalty spot. Matteo Retegui against David Raya. This is a big moment for Atalanta in the game. Both sides have lacked clinical finishing in the final third tonight, but this is a golden opportunity for Matteo Retegui from the 12-yard spot up against David Raya. Takes his time, stands on the edge of the box, ready for the run-up. Will go right-footed. And saved by Raya, but the follow-up is also saved. Incredible double save from David Raya. Atalanta stopped twice. And Retegui denied twice. Goes with his right foot to the bottom left corner. Not a great penalty initially. Well kind of figured out by David Raya. Got down to his right-hand side really quickly. And then as the rebound comes back into the path of Retegui, who headed it down. Incredible second save by David Raya. That is unbelievable goalkeeping. And it goes behind for a corner. We have a corner to defend here. To the edge of the box. Edison. Well charged down. Goodness me, you'll not get a better chance than that. And you got two chances. Both denied by David Raya. Remember, Raya made some big saves already this season. Remember the Aston Villa game at Villa Park, where he made probably one of the saves of the season. And once again, he's had to come up clutch for Arsenal in that moment. Fabulous goalkeeping. Absolutely incredible. You cannot kind of emphasize that enough, how huge that is, you know, how the game could change from here now. That is fabulous. Well, Raya has been heavily involved in action for Arsenal all throughout this season, of course, and for his country as well. Overall, since the start of the Premier League season, in his 6 games that he has played previously than this, he has only conceded 2 goals so far, David Raya. 1 for the national team and 1 for Arsenal. So he's certainly putting in top performances and keeping clean sheets galore at this minute in time, David Raya. Certainly one of the highlight players of the weekend as well. Made 5 saves against Tottenham. And then, of course, as I mentioned, that Aston Villa game back in August. Albeit he made 3 saves that night, but 2 of them one of them is probably one of the best of the season so far, undoubtedly, and certainly his impact is hugely felt upon Arsenal. You know, all these questions about goalkeepers and the goalkeeping situation about Arsenal last season, but there was no question that David Raya was at the level and was certainly capable of being a starter for Arsenal, and he's just continuing to prove how good he actually is and why he is in that in between the nets, in between the posts for Arsenal. And he's certainly backing up his manager in making that big call that he did last season in Mikel Arteta. And he's certainly proving that he is certainly of the level. As Raya goes long here. Bouncing ball. Atalanta just about get away with that. Arsenal were trying to win the second ball, but the bouncing ball just evades all the Arsenal players, and Atalanta can deal with that moment. As Retegi tries to battle with Saliba. Saliba pushed back into his own final third, but does well to pass it back to his goalkeeper in that tight space. Keep Arsenal in the possession. I have to say we're having some technical issues again. I have to say I didn't want to mention it, that we had it seemed to have disappeared towards the end of the first half, and it's been fine since the start of the second half, but it started to go a bit choppy again since that penalty. Every time somebody gets a big goal scoring chance, here come Arsenal, the cut back by Rice is cleared away. And now Retegi tries to break away here for Atalanta. I get my choppy pictures that I get to see here. Lookman back with Ruggieri. Again, it just seems like every time somebody comes forward, it gets into a good area, that the feed decides to go absolutely crackers. Never had this problem before, ever. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Here's Jim City across to Edison. Down the left-hand side to Ruggieri. Infield to Lookman. Lookman trying to speed past his man. Again, tries to get into the box, but Arsenal, lots of bodies back, and Rice comes away with the ball. Under pressure, Rice, forced backwards by Duron, but gets back to his keeper with composure and calmness. Gabriel now. Havertz. Chipped forward by Gabriel. Jesus was trying to get on the end of that one. But again, Atalanta just intercepting. Albeit to Catalar run out of room, and Arsenal will get the throw. They're going to make a change here. Double change coming from Arsenal. Jesus is going to come off, and Leandro Trossard is coming on, and Thomas Partey is going to leave the field, and Jorginho is going to come on. So double substitution. course, remember, Arsenal have got Man City at the weekends. You can watch live on LFS Sunday 4:30. I'll have that game live for you. That second save is absolutely incredible, off the line. It was. We're just seeing the goal line technology. It is just on the line, that ball. That's incredible. What a save. Gasparini couldn't believe it. I don't think any of us could believe it, to be honest. They had 2 chances. Missed the penalty and then missed the rebound. Incredible saves from David Raya. As those changes made by Arsenal then. So let's see if they can really impact the game and change the kind of momentum of this game for the Gunners. Another goal to tell you about in Brest this evening, between Stade Brest and Sturm Graz, and it is the home side that have retaken the lead. It is Brest 2, Graz 1. Don't have a goal scorer for you yet, but we will. Don't worry. So it is 2-1 there. And it is Abdallah Sima that has given Brest the lead once again. So 2-1 to the French side there. Here's William Saliba for Arsenal. Breaking down that left-hand side, or that right-hand side, sorry. Plays it into Havertz. Now out wide to Saka. Has to go back to Jorginho. Now Saliba again. Back to Jorginho. Not much passing lanes open for Arsenal at the minute. And that's what I said about both sides kind of stifling each other, kind of nullifying each other's threat really in that first half. And that's continued at times in the second, albeit Atalanta have probably had 1 or 2 really good opportunities in this second half, albeit the penalty the most kind of significant. But I would say that Atalanta's defensive job has continued, whereas Arsenal, I think, have kind of wobbled a bit as the second half has started, and Atalanta are going to make a change of their own here at this minute in time. Charles de Ketelaere is going to make way, and coming on is going to be the number 7, Juan Cuadrado. The 36-year-old, certainly not a youthful player anymore, Juan Cuadrado, the Colombian. Certainly been all around Europe, Udinese, Fiorentina, Lecce, Chelsea, Juventus, of course, Inter. And then joined Atalanta on a free at the end of August. Juventus is where we know him best. Cuadrado, so on for his Champions League debut with Atalanta, as he puts that behind for an Arsenal corner from that throw-in by Ben White. Less than 30 minutes to go here in Bergamo. Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. And those Arsenal fans down this side, so hoping to bolster their side from this set piece. Arsenal's first corner of the second half. Saka to take this corner on the right hand side. Bodies dotted around the 18-yard box. All around the 18-yard box for Arsenal. Can Saka find one of them? As he did at the weekend. Saka to deliver. Deep to the back post. Flick down into the mix zone. And I think it was Ben White maybe in there. And it just goes behind for a goal kick. See it again. Nice cross to the deep to the back post. Havertz there, and it was Ben White that got some sort of connection on it, but sent it well wide. No real threat to the keeper, but again a good set piece delivery from Saka. Rice. Timber. Tried to find Trossard, but intercepted by Hien. Now Duron. Out wide to Jim City. Now Zappacosta. Back to Jim City. To Hien. Now to Edison, sorry. Ruggieri round the corner. Intercepted by to Rice. Now Havertz. Back to Trossard. Well, closed out there by Edison and Daron there. So free kick goes the way of Atalanta. A bit scrappy there in the middle. All of a sudden. Atalanta messing it up in possession again. Saka now plays it to Havertz. Havertz to Trossard, but again having to turn back. Not really seeing those little runs from Arsenal tonight, those forward runs. Martinelli plays it into a half space here for Jorginho, who couldn't find Trossard in there too much, and goal kick coming for Atalanta. But again, it's not often you see Arsenal get into an attacking area, breaking forward and then turn back on themselves. It's very rare. We've seen it a couple of times tonight, and I think it's really allowing Atalanta to just get back into solid shape and stifle the Arsenal attack. And I think I said it in the first at half time. If there's going to be a difference in this game, if someone's going to want to win this, they need to up the tempo. They need to be quicker. They need to catch the opposition out of position and out of kind of their traditional shape. The slower you play it, the more predictable you're going to be, and the easier it's going to be for the opponent sitting in their defensive shape. The faster they play the ball, the more unpredictable and the much more threatening you become. And I think Arsenal have turned back on themselves a couple of times in those attacks, and it's really just nullified them completely in the final third. Somewhat disappointing, really. As foul here in midfield on Cuadrado. He certainly isn't in a good way after that collision, so we'll see how he is. As Atalanta Reading, another change coming in a minute. And it was Ben White that just tussled with Cuadrado. He gets back to his feet there, the veteran. Atalanta got the free kick out of it anyway. Ruggieri to Kolasinac. Now Cuadrado on the spin. Plays it back to Ruggieri. Infield it goes to Retegi, that was actually. It comes all the way back out to the right hand side for Atalanta as they keep the possession. It's one thing, neither side have really struggled at keeping the ball tonight. Around about 50-50 possession, so both sides, when they've got the ball, they've kept it well. It's not been that type of a dominant performance in possession by either team, really. To be honest, it's been very kind of even in that sense. But Arsenal haven't really created anything in the second half. Without a shot in the second half, the Gunners. And then Atalanta have had 2 shots on target, of course, one being the penalty and the other one being the penalty's rebound. So not much in open play from either team as the ball chipped into the box. Cuadrado was the target, but headed away by Saka. As Kolasinac gets it back to Hien. Again, it just seems like if one team's going to go on and score in this game, it's Atalanta at the minute. I think that's why Mikel Arteta did make those attacking changes about 8 minutes ago or so, because there was really nothing coming from Arsenal in the final third in this second half as of yet. The best chances come from a corner. Here's Cuadrado. Steps in field. Cuadrado! Just over the bar. That's what the game is missing. That individual brilliance, that little bit of quality in the final third. And that was a nearly moment for Juan Cuadrado on his Champions League debut for Atalanta. Almost curled it into the top corner, not too far away. It had David Raya stretching. I don't even think David Raya would have saved that one if it had dropped in. It wasn't too far away from the 36-year-old. Certainly still got it at this level. Raya goes long. That's well dealt with back there by Daron. Again, here's Lookman for Atalanta, who are buoyed by this. out to the right-hand side for Zappacosta. Looking to cross it. Blocked off well by Saliba and Gabriel as well there. But Atalanta on the front foot again. Again, try to chip it into the box, but Gabriel there to block it and clear it away, but not by far, as Trossard hounded by Lookman. And that's really good play by Atalanta. Kind of turned the screw a bit. Certainly looking, as I said, the more threatening of the two teams at this minute in time. Certainly in the ascendancy, shall we say, the home side. Nothing to update you on elsewhere. It's been a quiet start to the second half. Only the one goal of the second half as the ball dropped into the box. But all the way into the hands of David Raya. Again, they're testing things. They're trying things, Atalanta. And I think that's promising because Arsenal really haven't done anything. Albeit, you know, they've got an individual quality of individual brilliance that can nick a goal from somewhere, from anywhere, really. But you can see Atalanta are attempting things, trying out different things, chipping the ball into the box, getting wide, crossing it in, trying shots from the edge of the box. They're trying different and variations of attack to not only keep Arsenal guessing, but to try and try everything that they've got in their kind of abilities to try and score. Here's Trossard. Try to play it in to Martinelli, who'd come central, but Atalanta defend that situation well as Carnesci clears. But I think Arsenal are going to have a free kick here as Saliba went down. And Retegui was the one that committed the foul, according to the referee. So free kick to Arsenal. As Retegui goes and checks upon Saliba here. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really. That's not much in it. Double substitution coming from Atalanta then. So they've already made one. Bellanova and Zaniolo are coming on. So Zaniolo and Bellanova are going to replace Retegui and Zappacosta. So Zappacosta and Retegui replaced by Bellanova and Zaniolo. So some fresh legs for Atalanta. And what can this do to try and change their fortunes already in this game? Here come Arsenal. Trossard. Saka. Back to Trossard. Trossard's kind of dropped into that free role in and around the attack for Arsenal. Roaming about quite a bit. It's Martinelli. Down that left-hand side. Steps in field. Finds it to Jorginho. Arsenal are going to make more substitutions in a minute. Another double substitution on the way. As that ball's nicked away from Martinelli. And here's Lookman. Turns back in field. Does well. Finds the space to Derone. 20 minutes to go. 0-0 here in Bergamo. Cuadrado. Brought down there by his opposite number. And Bukayo Saka. Free kick goes the way of the home side again. See it. He kind of just drags his left leg there. Saka. Cuadrado, sorry, fades the contact and goes down. Bellanova. Back to Derone. Now Hien. Now Edison. Keeping the ball moving at the minute. Or Atalanta. Nice 1-2 with Cuadrado and Edison. Edison out wide to Ruggieri. Back to Cuadrado. Looking to switch it. Too much to try and find Bellanova. It was a bit too narrow on that occasion, or just a bit overhit from Cuadrado. One or the other, but Arsenal get the throw in on the far side nonetheless. So double substitution coming then for Arsenal. And it's two of their summer signings that are coming on. So Urian Timber and Bukayo Saka are going to be coming off, and Ricardo Calafiori and Raheem Sterling are going to be coming on. So another double substitution for Mikel Arteta. Can that get him over the line late on here? Elsewhere, still all the same. Monaco and Barcelona 1-1. Atletico Madrid and Leipzig also 1-1. And Brest are leading at Sturm Graz by 2-1. Arsenal's throw in ends up in the air. Right. Plays it forward, but hooked away by the Atalanta defence. Again, only as far as Jorginho, who gets it back to Gabriel. Now, Raya. David Raya, who will be the headline maker at the minute. Making that big double save. It's the closest either side have come to finding the net tonight. That missed penalty as the ball bounces into Ademola Lookman's path. He does really well on the spin. Lookman battles there. Cuadrado again wants to shoot and just hits it wide. Cuadrado, he's had a couple of chances and he's getting closer. He's desperate for that goal, is Juan Cuadrado. Told everybody else to leave it and just curled it. Stepped onto his right, curling it again. Just too far wide this time. He had one just over the bar, and now that one's just gone wide of the goal. Certainly getting closer, shall we say. He's one to keep an eye on, most certainly. Juan Cuadrado. Here is Martinelli over the bar. Just a bouncing ball for Arsenal. Come forward. And on the spin, it just broke free. Sterling played it through. And Martinelli on the run. And just fired it over the bar. It's a good opportunity, but completely misplaces it. And skies it well over the bar. And the last time Arsenal played an Italian team came in the 2018-19 Europa League quarter-finals. When they faced Napoli. They beat them 2-0 at home and 1-0 away. And that was made it 4 successive victories against Serie A opposition. And that's 6 wins in the last 7 against Serie A teams for the Gunners. Arsenal have won 12 of their last 22 away European matches as well. Lost only 5, although those defeats have come in their last 10 fixtures, so they've lost 5 of their last 10 away from home, but 12 of their last 22 have ended in wins on the road in Europe. And they have a set piece here on this left-hand side. Less than 15 minutes to go. The clock is running down, and quickly. A winner needs to be found sooner rather than later. We could have a winner in Monaco. We'll get there in a minute after this Arsenal free kick. Let's see what they can do from this set piece, Arsenal. Wide on the left-hand side, almost at the touchline. Right-footed delivery by Rice, but that is nowhere near accurate enough. That's a really, really bad set piece at such a big moment. Goal kick, Atalanta. Goal in Monaco that I can tell you about. I said that Barca had got back on terms after going down to 10. And Monaco in the first half thought they'd retaken the lead. Well, wait no longer. They have retaken the lead. Monaco 2, Barcelona 1. Georges Elenkena. I apologise. Elenkena has retaken the lead for Monaco. It is Monaco 2, Barcelona 1. 10-man Barcelona, that is, by the way. Trossard. Sterling. to Leandro Trossard. Just overhits the pass to Calafiori, which is intercepted by Atalanta. That sloppiness from Arsenal is certainly not needed and certainly not welcome at this late stage for the Gunners. Rice. Calafiori. Back to Rice. 12.5 minutes to go. Here in Bergamo. Still goalless. Still looking for that elusive goal that has evaded us last night and so far tonight. It's not only Arsenal that have a big game at the weekend. The Milan derby looms at the weekend. That's one to really keep an eye on. Of course, AC Milan against Internazionale. Of course, Inter drew 0-0 away at Man City last night. AC Milan beaten at the San Siro on Tuesday night by Liverpool, so that's a big game to look forward to. But Atalanta, their next game is in 4 days' time on Sunday. Or is that Monday? Monday, sorry. Monday night as they take on Como here in this stadium, Give Ice Stadium. That's on Monday night. As I mentioned already, in the second half, it's a big game at the Etihad on Sunday, 4:30. You can watch live and listen to the live audio commentary here on LFS as Manchester City take on Arsenal, 4:30 on Sunday. The two that battled for the title last season have their first meeting of this season, and that takes place on Sunday. We'll see who can emerge victorious out of that one. Here's Calafiori for Arsenal. Can they have a late moment here in Bergamo? Trossard now dinked over the top, trying to find Havertz, but again too much, and goes behind for a goal kick, but again wasteful from the Gunners. You have a quick turnaround in a few of their games. They play City at the weekend, then they they face Bolton in the Carabao Cup on next Wednesday evening in the Carabao Cup. So a busy turnaround of fixtures for Arsenal. And then after that Bolton game, they host Leicester on the Saturday. So it's a really quick turnaround. Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday for Arsenal. Before they're then back in action the following Tuesday as they welcome PSG in the second matches of the Champions League. Ten minutes to go in their first Champions League matches of the season, and it looks like 0-0 will be the outcome, unless there is another twist in the tail in this late stage. Looks like Atalanta are going to be readying another change in a minute, another substitution, so we'll see what comes of that in a moment. Calafiori. Back to Rice on the halfway line. Trying to get Arsenal on the front foot. Trying to get them into that final third. It has evaded them for quite a while so far. Said they've just had one shot in the whole of the second half, have Arsenal. Here's... I think that was... yeah, it was Ben White tried to play it through the lines and he completely overheaded again. Straight into the hands of Marco Carnesci, the Atalanta goalkeeper. Carnegie goes long. Rice wins the first header. Brought down by Havertz. Spun round for Trossard as he tries to feed it out to Martinelli, but well closed off that time by Hien. As Carnegie goes long again. Headed down by Gabriel this time. Now Calafiori wide. Back to Jorginho. Arsenal try and keep the ball moving, keep the tempo in the game. Trossard coming back into his own half to keep the ball here, Leandro Trossard. Saliba now. Again, shoved to the floor with Sterling, but Arsenal keep the ball. Again, Arsenal just get a bit over excited in the midfield and give the ball away. Here is Hien. Now to Kolasinac. Back to Hien again. Remember, a draw isn't the worst result in the world. Certainly from an Arsenal point of view, it's not the worst result. Albeit they want the 3 points, but a point away from home at a tough stadium where they haven't been at their best tonight wouldn't be a massive negative. It'll be a point closer to where they want to be, but they want to be 3 points up after match day 1. That's what everybody wants, but it's something not as simple as that. As Atalanta have a throw in on the right hand side. They still haven't given up hope either of possibly winning this game, let's remember. Here in Arsenal's half here at Atalanta. Come down the right hand side. Derone back to Hien. Now Kolasinac. 5 minutes of the 90 to go. Here's Cuadrado. Now Lookman. Back to Cuadrado again. Arsenal trying to battle out of possession to keep Atalanta at bay. Kolasinac. Trying to go for the 1-2 there was Cuadrado, but decided against that time was Ruggieri, as that ball's misplaced by Kolasinac, and Arsenal try and conjure up a quick counter-attack, but Sterling couldn't find the ball. Back to Carnegie. Again, it just seems to be a bit rushed from Arsenal in that moment there, where they tried to blast forward, but there's no accuracy behind it, no real clinical nature in that passing. Sharpness seems to be gone. Here's Ruggieri. Now wide to Cuadrado. Plays it across to Zaniolo. Trying to find a bit of room. Does find Edison. Now finds Lookman in the box. Ademola Lookman. Charged down really well by William Saliba. That's the first time we've really seen Lookman charge in on goal, and wins a corner. Good work from Saliba though to hold off Ademola Lookman. Let's see what they can do from this set piece now. 3.5 minutes to go of normal time. Right footed delivery. Spun in! Hien was the target, but cleared away by Arsenal. In Jorginho. All the way back for Atalanta with Bellanova. Derone. Bellanova. Back to Derone again. Kolasinac to Hien. But as I've said the whole way throughout the second half, if there's one side that are going to win this game, from this point, I only see one side winning it. And I'm not saying that Arsenal can't win. I'm just saying that from the what we've seen in this second half, it just looks like Atalanta have a bit more cohesion about their attacking abilities and their threat in the final third, whereas Arsenal have lacked that rhythm in the second half at all. Really struggled to find it. There's Ruggieri there. Ultimately brought down was Sterling, so free kick goes Arsenal's way. Final few minutes elsewhere. All the same scorelines. If anything changes, but we will run you through all the results from all of the 18 matches. Just quickly run through the results from match day 1 at the final whistle. And what that means for the league table of the Champions League. The new format will have seen all 36 teams play in match day 1. And when the final whistle goes here, is Atalanta are making a double change. Lookman and Ruggieri coming off. And Samardzic and Pasalic are coming on. So Samardzic and Pasalic replacing Lookman and Ruggieri for Atalanta in the last 90 seconds or so of the 90 minutes. David Raya to take this free kick for Arsenal that Raheem Sterling won in his own half. Still haven't given up the chance of trying to win this one, Arsenal. It's pumped forward. Derone heads it out for a throw to Arsenal on the right hand side. White to take the throw in. Less than a minute to go. White to take this throw in on the right hand side. Taking his time. Finds Sterling with his back to goal. Tries to spin round. Sterling does keep the ball all of a sudden, but ultimately gives away the free kick there. Raheem Sterling, as the ball just evaded him and escaped his grasp. So a free kick there with Sterling's foul on Edison. So Carnesci to take this free kick. It's goalkeepers taking free kick times. You don't often see it, but when it's late in a game, you want to get all of your possible outfield players up the field and a chance to give you something in the opposition's half. 4 added minutes at the end of the 90, so 4 minutes for either side to try and find a winner here in Bergamo. Atalanta have come the closest, of course, with that penalty save and that rebounded penalty, the rebound from the penalty also saved, so they've missed 2 big chances of Atalanta. That's come the closest of any of the sides to scoring tonight. And who would it be a better point for would be the big question if it does end in a draw here this evening. Is it a better point for Arsenal on the road in a tough place to go that could have found themselves losing, remember, with the penalty, if the penalty was scored in the end, albeit a soft penalty, so maybe a bit of justice done there. But White's lost his marker here in Zaniolo and tried to go for the cross, gets a corner. Maybe it's not over yet. 3 minutes to go and Atalanta have a corner here on the left hand side. Got us watching again. Cuadrado over to take the corner. There's been a red card in Brest. We'll get there in a moment. The referee sorting out something that was going on with Zaniolo and Rice in there. So Cuadrado to take this corner. Left hand side. Right-footed delivery. Gabriel heads it away. Edison gets it back into the box. Headed away again by Gabriel. Brought down on the right-hand side here for Atalanta by Samardzic. Does well to break away from any Arsenal players. Tried to find it into the box, but cleared away by Arsenal. Not fully cleared, though, as Samardzic tried to make a run for himself, but Raya was quick to it and gathered the ball to take any of the danger away. Atalanta again, just trying to get forward, but Arsenal's defence there, holding strong. Right, I can tell you about that red card. In Brest, it's Sturm Graz that have gone down to 10. A second yellow card for Dimitri Lavallee. So that's Sturm Graz down to 10. So Brest leading 2-1 there. And we have a possible winning goal in Madrid this evening. RB Leipzig took the lead in the first 5 minutes of that game. Antoine Griezmann levelled, and in the 90th minute, Atletico have taken the lead for the very first time tonight. Jose Maria Jimenez has given Atletico the lead with minutes to go, just on the 90-minute mark. They're into additional time now. That could be a huge goal and a big winner indeed. Could be heading the way of Atletico Madrid. 2-1 there. Seems like all three of our other games mirroring each other at the minute. All three home sides winning 2-1 at the minute. Here, though, is an anomaly. It's an outlier. 0-0 with 4 minutes now up. How long is there added on at the end of this? 4 is the deep cross. And Carnesci gathers. But that is that. The final whistle goes in Bergamo. A night where both sides weren't at their best, probably. But ultimately, I would say Arsenal count themselves lucky that they could have found themselves behind and losing this game. They come away with a big point on the road in Europe. Their first point of the new campaign. Atalanta were a tough customer at times, both up front and in defence. Arsenal struggled on the night, but Atalanta themselves struggled to find the net with Retegui, missing the penalty and then missing the rebound. David Raya with 2 huge saves to deny him. It was Raya that is the headline maker tonight. It's a goalkeeper. Only fitting that a goalkeeper makes the headlines in a 0-0 draw. Back-to-back 0-0 draws for Premier League sides against Italian opposition in City and Arsenal, who will meet at the weekend, knowing they both drop points in midweek in the Champions League. Final score in Bergamo: Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. And that's it from this weekend, this midweek, and the first match day of Champions League action. We have the three other games are still underway, so let's bring you up to date with what's happened all throughout this midweek. Starting on Tuesday night, the action started as Juventus beat PSV Eindhoven by 3-1. One of the goals of the campaign so far, Kenan Yildiz with an absolute cracker to give Juventus the lead, and they went on to win 3-1 in that one. Aston Villa got their first Champions League win ever, their first win in the European Cup Champions League since 1982. Since they were last in the competition. 3-0 they finished against Young Boys. Liverpool made their return after their missing season in the Champions League last season. They were in the Europa League. They headed to San Siro and conquered in the fashion capital of the world, I called it last night, against AC Milan, who were below par. Liverpool had to come from behind and did so. Both centre-backs on the score sheet there for the Reds. Bayern made it 9 against Dinamo Zagreb, the highest scoring amount of goals in a single game, in a single Champions League game for a single side in history. Bayern Munich, the only side ever in Champions League history to score 9 goals in one game, and they made sure of it. Harry Kane with 4 of those 9, a hat-trick of penalties as well for Harry Kane. Real Madrid needed a bit of late action with 2 of their debutants and new signings of the summer on the score sheet, with Kylian Mbappe and their new signing I've completely forgot his name. The new signing, making it 3-1, the youngster, and Stuttgart lost in Madrid. Sporting 2-0 winners against Lille. Big result for Sporting there against 10-man Lille, finished 2-0 on Tuesday night. On Wednesday night, Bologna and Shakhtar drew 0-0. In another of the early games, Sparta Prague beat Salzburg by 3-0. It was the biggest ever win in the Champions League for Celtic as they beat Slovan Bratislava by 5-1. Dortmund were 3-0 winners against Club Brugge, but up until the final 15 minutes of the game it was 0-0. So a late flurry of goals for Dortmund saw them get 3 points. It was a 0-0 draw between Man City and Inter in the game of the Etihad last night, which saw they repeated the 2023 Champions League final and scoreless in Manchester. And in Paris, they needed a late own goal from the Girona goalkeeper to win that game. PSG, it was PSG 1, Girona 0. Right, that was last night and Tuesday night's action. Already this evening, Benfica have beaten Red Star by 2-1. Bayer Leverkusen were 4-0 victors away at Feyenoord. So far tonight, Atalanta drew 0-0 with Arsenal in our game. Brest have concluded and got their first victory at home against Sturm Graz in the Champions League this evening, and it's just finished. Monaco have beaten Barcelona. 10-man Barcelona went down to 10 inside 10 minutes. Monaco took the lead. Barca got back into the game, but a late winner. A winner in the second half for Elenkena to win it for Monaco. And that game between Atletico and Leipzig still ongoing. 4 out of minutes into the 96th minute. Jose Maria Jimenez with the goal in the 90th minute. That could be the winner. Just awaiting the final whistle in that one. But while we're talking about the table, I will tell you when that has concluded. Let's have a quick look at how the table stands then. This evening at Matchday 1 on all of our games. Bayern Munich lead the way after the first match day with 3 points, of course. A lot of teams winning, as you can see, those green W's right down the right-hand side of your screen. Bayern lead the way with a +7 goal difference. Celtic and Bayer Leverkusen both a +4 goal difference. Then come Aston Villa and Dortmund and Sparta Prague with a +3. And 4 teams with a +2 goal difference. And Liverpool, Juventus, Real Madrid and Sporting make up the top 10. Then Benfica, Monaco and Brest, all to 11th, 12th and 13th, all with a +1 goal difference. Atletico almost concluded that one, and that has now finished. So Atletico have beaten Leipzig by 2-1, so that's finished. And PSG in 15th, also winning. We head further down the table to the middle section where we see all of our teams that possibly could be playoff teams by match day 8. Those are the teams. A mix of winners, draws and losers as well on match day 1 mixed in there. PSG the last team to win, so 15 wins. 15 winners on match day 1 out of our 18 fixtures. 3 draws, which you see Arsenal, Man City, Bologna, Inter, Atalanta and Shakhtar Donetsk. All 6 teams to have drawn on match day 1. And then we go further down. Sturm Graz, Barcelona and RB Leipzig make up the top 24. And then we head down to the bottom of the table. As you can see, all of those teams losing. With Zagreb losing, conceding 9 goals to Munich. Feyenoord, Slovan Bratislava, Young Boys, Club Brugge, Salzburg, Lille, AC Milan, Stuttgart, PSV, Girona and Red Star making up all of those teams that would be eliminated in those bottom 12 slots as it stands. That is the first week of Champions League action concluded. 4 big matches for you this week. Some big results and some big headlines in 2 0-0 draws, a 3-1 win for Liverpool and a 3-0 win for Aston Villa. It's been a fantastic midweek. I hope you've enjoyed it. And still to come, well, the Champions League returns. Match day 2 of the Champions League. A 2 nights of action to come on the 1st and 2nd of October, so less than 2 weeks time away, so not long to wait before we get to do it all over again with even more action. 9 games over 2 nights. 9 games each night over 2 nights with 18 ties in total. Of course, that's to come not next midweek, but the midweek after that, start of October, 1st and 2nd. And then this weekend, a bumper weekend of Premier League action here in LFS. 4 live commentary games for you, and we start at lunchtime on Saturday as West Ham take on Chelsea in a London derby. That's it for us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed it. They've drawn a blank in Bergamo. They drew a blank in Manchester. But at least Aston Villa and Liverpool amongst the English sides got off to a winning start. Night night.